Good day everyone, it's Nick here. We're on a new system this time. It's the Atari 2600, so we're going even more retro. This game is Enduro, designed by Larry Miller and published by Activision in '83 as I get underway. Now, I'm in this Formula 1 car. There's some cool engines here. It's single player, did come out on the Spectrum a year later. Right, so essentially, it's an Enduro race in a Formula 1 type car. You must overtake on the day one 200 cars, which you can see ticking down here, before you run out of time. You can crash as many times as you want. It's important to brake, and I'm like that, I was going way too fast there. And if you complete that, the next round is 300 cars. So you'll get the idea of the gameplay very, very quickly. It's 8-bit retro superpower, or is it 4-bit? Anyway, it must be 8-bit. 1983. Also come out on the Spectrum, as I say, in 1984, so we'll see how this one plays. I decided to have a look at another system, the Atari 2600, because, well, why not? The more we do, the more it expands stuff. I don't know how many we'll do a week, but we'll see how this one goes. Now, this is a good one to start on. A nice Formula 1 sort of... It's not really Formula 1, is it? Because it's an Enduro race. I've been told that the further we get, there we go, we get changing weather conditions, so it's snowy. Doesn't affect the handling of the car. It moves fast, lots of different colours in the cars. If I had this as a kid, I would have probably played it for hours, because it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Right, okay, let's concentrate here, do at least one stage. So look at the cars below, 117 in the thing, that's ticking down. So we've got a long, long way to go. So you would get a lot of playability as a kid. If the parents wanted to keep their kid happy for a few hours, they'd bung them on this, and they probably won't see them for about 3 hours. Let's see if I can get past day one. So day two is 300 cars after this, then I suppose it goes up one by one by one, and we won't be on this for hours, because I just want to show you how it plays. And it's the first 2600 game I reviewed. Did you own this system back in the day? I'm a little bit too young, but only fractionally to actually have owned this. Well, it could have been an overlap because it was 83, but I was a Spectrum boy back in the day. A friend did own an Atari 2600, but I only went round every now and again, and I don't think he owned this. So what is your favourite game on this system? Let me know. What games should we check out? Like the colours there on the horizon. So it's giving you changing times of day. 73 cars left to go. As I say, if you crash into anyone, they will overtake you again, but the car never blows up. Oh, look at that, night, that's good. So at night, you can just see the tail lights of these things. This game is cool. I don't think the Spectrum version, I might be wrong, I don't think the Spectrum version is going to be as good as this, because this is moving quite fast. I don't know if all the Atari games moved a bit like this. I do like the old Atari style. Back in the day, the old company Atari is nothing like the modern day one. And basically they aren't Atari, they're just a company that have bought the name and are dragging it through the mud. But you know, don't get me wrong, I like Atari, but the old Atari back here, when everything was nice with the world. Right, tail lights, let's get through here. Maybe I'm looking at it with rose tinted spectacles, but that's what you tend to do, because that's what, oh, foggy, that's what nostalgia does for you. Right, I'm almost there, I've got, well, 7 cars now to get past, 8 cars. What is it going to do? As you can guess, there's no game over sequence on this. It just ends one way or another. Either you run out of time or you've completed the day. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom! There we go. So now we're on day 2, I think. There is just flags there, so maybe we need to drive to day 2. Don't know what's going on now. Let's just keep driving and hopefully something would happen. But at the moment it's foggy, which is restricting our visibility. And that is a good effect. The corners go a bit wibbly wobbly if you drive around, but we'll forgive that from 1983. Great game for the time. There's a similar game I've been told, well I've seen actually, Pole Position on the Atari 2600. That featured on a number of computers, so we might come to that at some point. Now I'm slowing down to get around this mob. Cool, there's lots of cars on this mad adventure. There's nothing like giving a kid a game that never ends. But a kid will keep playing it thinking that it would end. Friends would have told him in the playground, yeah, if you drive for 18 hours, then you get some sort of sequence, which is wrong. I'm not much of an expert on this, as you notice. I should be slowing down more than I am doing. Right, there we go. So we're on day 2 now. You can see there's 300 cars down to 280 something as we go. I don't think you're going to have the patience to sit with me to go through all 300. So we'll go a little bit further, see a few changing weather conditions and day to night conditions, then we'll say goodbye. But what do you think of this one? Do you like it? Did you own it back in the day on any system? I really like hearing your thoughts, and that's what keeps the channel alive, really. Sharing ideas and keeping it all generally happy. Hooray! Always going to be different opinions, of course, but that's a part of discussion, isn't it? An open forum. Yes, I believe these are Formula 1 cars. I mean, the box artwork, there's a truck on the front, but there are 2 different boxes of artwork, so maybe one was a re-release. It's definitely Formula 1 sort of cars, isn't it? Can you imagine Formula 1 endurance? I don't think many cars would make it to the end, I don't think. Good stuff. Early 80s, classic era for gaming, but I think what people describe as a classic era for gaming depends on your age, really. So the first time you started playing computers, whatever age that was, that probably was a classic era, because everything was new and brilliant then, and that forms all your opinions of future games to come afterwards. Never is there going to be a bigger contrast from these games in the early 80s, late 70s even sometimes, to where we are now. What a contrast there. So, yes, Formula 1 2018, whatever we're up to now, is a bit different to this. But it was all about the playability back then, and a kid's imagination could take you a very, very long way. That snow cleared up quite quickly, but it's got an arcade feel to it, hasn't it, really? All those cars lined up there. No slipstreaming or speedos, just classic, well, that's the swimming trunks, isn't it? But you know what I mean, a speedometer, no gears or anything like that. So it's just accelerate, decelerate, left and right. That's all you need. That is all you need. No car setups here, folks. Got quite a few colours on it, the Atari, hasn't it, there? I'm quite impressed with that. Let's go past there. Now, don't get this confused with a similar title, in name at least, called Enduro Racer, which has come out on the Spectrum and a few other systems, Commodore 64 as well. That was about motorbikes. A little bit blockier than the Spectrum and the Commodore 64, well, it has to be said, but it did come out fractionally earlier. But the playability is there. I'm hoping that other games I come to, it's got equal playability. Boom! Atari 2600. Were others in the range? What was your favourite one? And also the Atari ST, which come later, which ran alongside the Amiga, but I owned the Amiga then, so there's no real reason to own an ST as well. Quite often the games are very similar. There was advantages over one system and another. The Amiga generally had better sound to it, but some of its conversions were a little bit suspect for the arcade conversions when you look, well, particularly US Gold. Some ports were ported directly from the Atari ST to the Commodore 64, no, to the Commodore Amiga I should say, which didn't always carry. Right, in the fog, I think we might pull over to the side here and call it a day. So I hope you liked having a look at that one, a good game I thought. Enduro on the Atari 2600, designed by Larry Miller and published by Activision in '83. Got any comments about this game, the Atari 2600, of course, or anything retro, then please put that below. A big thank you to all those that already subscribed to the channel. It's a massive help. If you want to help a bit more, there's patreon.com/njenkin. But until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.